Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry, and it's time for some more Planescape Torment. Now, as those of you not as familiar with my channel might not know, when I start a new series on the channel, I like to give it 3 episodes in a row, uninterrupted, before revisiting any of the ongoing series, and goodness, there's enough of those. However, last night I just was way too exhausted and tired to record. It just wasn't going to happen, so I quite sensibly left it. Now, I also should apologise. Last episode I recorded for about an hour and a half, and I was aiming for closer to an hour. Also, within an hour I thought we would have done most of this level. But I dawdled and had fun and chatted in the main menu at the beginning, so that didn't really happen, did it? Right, let's have a look in here.
Done.
Nothing. Okay. Well then, let's open the door. And let's see what joys await us in this chamber. Another door. Okay. But there might still be something interesting here. Like a zombie. Hello, zombie. I would like to talk to you. This huge corpse is standing silently in the corner of the room. Corner. Facing the wall. I suppose he was facing roughly this way at the time. He looks to have been a heavy-set man in his early years, and judging by the condition of his body, he died only recently. The freshly stitched number on his forehead reads 1664, as in Cronenberg 1664. There are so many associations of these numbers. This corpse looks like it has been serving as a librarian, for it is carrying a huge stack of books in its arms. Well, I'll examine the books then, since he's carrying them. The books appear to be old mortuary ledgers. None of them of... Sorry. Oh, it's about 3:30 in the morning. Sorry. The books appear to be old mortuary ledgers, none of them of any particular interest. As you search through the text, however, you notice a loose page folded between 2 of the books. You are suddenly struck by the feeling that someone tucked it there to hide it, and a strong urge to take it, apparently, with no option otherwise. The page doesn't look like it belongs with the ledgers. It looks like it belongs in a logbook. The tear is clean, as if with a knife, so you suspect the page was removed on purpose, and probably the last page from a logbook that was missing. Read through it. You take a moment to read through the page. It is a list of dead bodies brought to the mortuary and logged in the receiving room. All the entries appear to be recent arrivals. Well, we'll examine the zombie again, just in case there's any new details. No, he just doesn't have a piece of paper in there. Examine the books again. I'm not going to ask him. Talking to the zombies too much can make it easier to get into the Mad Dogs faction later on, because you've already been behaving pretty insane. At least I think that's what it does. Right. Receiving log page as opposed to the log book. This ragged page looks like it was cut neatly out of a book. It is written in a tight, crabbed script, and I think the voice was something like this. Yes. 16537. 5th night. Drunk. Chest wound. Cause of death. Mauling/Abishai. Collector pox. 3 commons paid. No possessions. 16538. 5th night. Desiccated corpse. Cause of death indeterminable. Age of shell prevents identification. Collector Farod. 3 commons paid. No possessions. Stripped. Knife marks evident from dissection. 16539. 5th night. Scarred shell. Cause of death indeterminable. Scars do not appear to be cause of death. Shock? Trauma? Collector Farod. 3 commons paid. Possessions logged. Fist irons, 13 commons. Middle table, receiving room. I believe that might be us. 16540. Fifth night. Desiccated corpse. Number 2. Cause of death indeterminable. Age of shell prevents identification. Collector Farod. Free commons paid. Possessions logged. Knife marks evident from dissection, but the dissection was not thorough enough. Copper earring found lodged in abdomen. Earring has been locked in southeast preparation room. Have an initiate from the third circle examine it. It has strange markings like those on contract worker number 79. 16541. Fifth night. Skeleton. Cause of death indeterminable. Age of shell prevents identification. Collector Farod. Free commons paid. No possessions. Stripped. Knife marks evident from dissection. As with the previous entries, these shells Farod has brought also show signs of having been prepared. I have asked that Initiate Emmerich launch an investigation into the matter. Furthermore, entry 16542 is one of Farod's gang. I have seen the individual before. I would ask Emmerich to pay heed to how the man died. 16542. Fifth night. Tiefling, male. Cause of death, slash marks, discoloration of wounds are consistent with grave rot. Ghoul claws? Collector Farod. Free commons paid. No possessions stripped. Knife marks evident from dissection. Okay. Now, it's already been suggested to us that Farod is robbing the corpses before he delivers them. That is something we should not overlook. Now, I'm just clearing out a bit of map space here. Okay, I think we're ready to move on into the next chamber now. And this is where hopefully some more fun begins. I mean, we had nice fun with Dahl, right? The stench coming from this corpse is truly nauseating. Someone split open the man's chest and has yet to remove the internal organs. Well, look, here's a dust woman as opposed to a dustman. And yes, dustmen have bin men over here, so fun. Iveen. You see a slight young woman with pale features. The sunken flesh around her cheeks and neck makes her appear as if she is starving. She seems intent on dissecting the corpse in front of her, prodding the chest with a finger. Greetings. The woman does not respond. She seems too intent on the body in front of her. As you watch her work, you suddenly notice her hands. Her fingers are talons. They are darting in and out of the corpse's chest cavity like knives, removing organs. I said greetings? The woman makes no response. I think the dusty chit might be a little short of hearing, Chief. Let's lay off, shall we? What's wrong with her hands?
Updated my journal.
She's a chiefling, Chief. They got fiend blood in their veins. Usually 'cause some ancestor of theirs shared knickers with one demon or another. Makes some of them kind of addled in the head, and addled looking too. Tap the woman to get her attention. The woman jumps and whips round to face you. Her eyes are a rotting yellow with small orange dots for pupils. As she sees you, her expression changes from surprise to irritation and she frowns at you. Greetings. She doesn't seem to have heard you. She leans forward, squinting as if she can't quite make you out. Whatever is wrong with her eyes must make her terribly nearsighted. You! She clacks her taloned fingers together, then makes a strange motion with her hands. Find Fred and embalming juice. Bring here to Iveen. Go! 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 She's getting impatient, but we haven't moved yet. What's wrong with your hands,
Updated
lady?
my journal.
She turns away and makes no sign that she has heard you. Yeah, we got that more. Okay, let's go. So she wants a needle and thread and embalming fluid, of which we currently have neither. Hey, didn't I give Mort some bandages to carry? Oh, he is. Okay, never mind then. Right. Nothing here. More bandages. I mean, you gotta be thorough when looking for supplies in a place like this. I mean, what a dump. You know. Probably a bit on my place. Right. My place isn't messy, it's organised chaos. You know, everything is organised in the space between the front door and the back door. The bandages covering this body are soaked with blood. Even though this corpse looks several days dead, blood still trickles from its wounds. Wasn't there a zombie back that way with needle and thread, I think, now that I come to think of it? This heavily stitched corpse is shuffling lazily back and forth between two slabs. The number 506 has been stitched into its forehead and the side of its neck and its right arm. In fact, the skin of this peeling corpse has been sewn up with so many stitches its skin looks like a bizarre street map. Let's examine the stitches. The stitches encircle the corpse, running from its arms, across its chest, up its neck, and down to the damp mass of white hair. As you follow the crossroads of stitches, you notice someone has jammed a needle into the corpse's forehead. The needle is attached to a thread stitched up the side of the skull. You could probably unravel it if you had something to cut the thread. We'll cut the stitches of the scalpel, then pull out the needle and thread. You slice the thread neatly with the scalpel, then pluck out the needle and pull the stitches out. As you do, the skin covering the forehead peels back to reveal the corpse's chalk-white skull, where, to your surprise, the number 78 has been chiselled. Seems you got two different designations there, corpse. The corpse stares straight ahead, oblivious. But we'll leave it in peace. Okay, you, zombie, hello. Hello? As if it was going to respond. This corpse, 985, has stopped dead in its tracks. Judging from the condition of its left leg, it looks as if some sort of tomb rot or corpse mould has eaten through its knee. The corpse is wobbling unsteadily back and forth, trying to keep its balance. Well, let's try and help it keep its balance. You reach out for the corpse's left arm to help steady it. As you grab its arm, however, the corpse suddenly sways to the right and you end up tugging the corpse rather than steadying it. Chief, you might not what? There is a crack from the corpse's leg and the body falls like a dead tree. As torso strikes the stone flagstones and shatters... its torso strikes the stone flagstones and shatters like a rotten melon, filth and ichor gurgling from the cavity. To your surprise, no one seems to have noticed the corpse's collapse, and, even stranger, the left leg remained standing where the body was, as if at attention. After a moment, the leg falls over with a wet thump. As you gaze upon the putrefying remains of the corpse, you notice that its left arm seems intact. It has snapped from the torso during the fall, and it doesn't appear to have been touched by the tomb rot that had spread through the rest of the body. I wonder if I can make use of that arm. Now, this is a kind of nice little Easter egg, bizarrely enough, in that originally the Nameless one was supposed to be even more flexible and have more abilities. He was supposed to have a special ability to rip his own arm off and beat people with it like a club, and then reattach it again afterwards. So we'll pop that there, and it looks like a big giant spiky mace, because all the mace weapons look the same. So, we have a crushing weapon, a more powerful crushing weapon, speed 4, speed 1. Okay, so that's faster. And a scalpel. So we don't have a cutting weapon just yet. Well, let's look around. We're still looking for embalming fluid. These barrels contain a murky liquid. It smells like a cross between vinegar and formaldehyde. Sounds like it might be the embalming fluid we seek, but not in most barrels. Another corpse on a stone slab. There is no indication of what the body died of. This chalk-white body has been drained of blood and treated with embalming fluid. A neatly stitched seam runs down the corpse's chest. And here, still no embalming fluid. Intriguing. The stench coming from this corpse is truly nauseating. Someone split open this man's chest and has yet to remove the internal organs. So basically this progresses to here. Judging by the stench of the entrails of these disembodied corpses, right. But did I not have embalming fluid? Hey, I haven't searched all the way over here yet. I should do that. Because I might yet find what I seek. Intriguing. We have a lack of embalming fluid. I should probably then go back to a previous chamber. Unless... I haven't quite looked anywhere. Everywhere, rather. Wait, is one of the zombies carrying it? .506, yeah, seen this one. This one by the door I might have missed over here. I should pester it. The eyes of this corpse are set close together and the eyeballs themselves are slightly askew. One faces to the left and the other to the right. You can barely make out the number 257 traced into its bruised forehead. It looks as if the corpse has taken several blows to the head, making the number difficult to read. Don't you get dizzy with your eyeballs facing like that? There's no flicker of understanding in the corpse's eyes. They stare silently off to the left and right. Well, I still don't have embalming fluid, which means I have clearly missed it somewhere. Okay. Just double check some of these to make sure. Okay, okay. And it wasn't there. No, it wasn't there. Right. So I'll be coming back through here then. Maybe one of these zombies is carrying a pot of embalming fluid and I can persuade it to relinquish it into my greedy paws. I should also double check everything in this room here. So, I do hope you guys are going to enjoy this series, because I'm probably going to spend goodness knows how long playing it. I mean, you know, I was hoping to do this whole first level of the tower all in one sitting last time, and I just didn't have the time in the end. But hey... Oh! Oh! I know what I should do. I should go back to Irene's room. I'm not going to run just yet because I might attract suspicious attention. Now I'm going to run. I don't like that pause before they start running. It's a bit unnatural. I mean, it's for coordination purposes, but I'm going to walk, well, saunter back through here. Try this door. Maybe... because I'm pretty sure I've been fairly thorough up to this point. Maybe the embalming fluid is in the next room, or the room after. Bloodstains, rust, and other remains cover the surface of this metal slab. It is much larger than most of the other slabs, and is sitting on a platform that allows it to be rotated. Again, they just don't stay up long enough. Hello, zombie. Do you have embalming fluid for me? The shambling corpse gazes at you with vacant eyes. The number 821 is carved into its forehead, and its lips have been stitched closed. The faint smell of formaldehyde emanates from the body. Okay, no, look, we're just gonna leave him. He doesn't seem to have much of interest. But what else can we find here? Apart from another door, which is not locked. Okay. Dried blood covers the slab's surface. The blood on this table is still fresh. Someone has inserted a tube into this corpse's leg. The tube is attached to a strange clicking machine next to the slab. Hello, strange clicking machine. You have embalming fluid. Now I have embalming fluid. We have more embalming fluid. This rotting corpse is riddled with tubes. A yellow liquid is cycling through the tubes into the strange machine. The machine is making clicking noises like an insect. Okay then. Dried blood covers the slab's surface. A bloody cloth covers the remains of this corpse. The stench rising from the body is almost unbearable. So, only almost unbearable. Let's see. Again, I have no sense of smell, so I'm going to have to try and imagine what that might be like. Dried blood covers the slab's surface. Okay. Just checking if there's anything up here. There's a desk over here with lots of boxes and jars and I bet I could open that later with a key or something. Or force. Well, I have embalming fluid. I should go back to Iveen, and I do see stairs I can use there. But as I do, let's take a look at this embalming fluid. Ooh, special, +2 to 8 hit points. +1 to armor class. Usable only on the nameless one and Mort. This is a sealed jar of embalming fluid. It is used as a preservative for dead bodies. As an added benefit, the smell of the fluid is more than sufficient to mask the smell of any rotting bodies it is used on. Effects are temporary. The temporary nature of that effect is good to know. I wouldn't want to think that'd be a permanent benefit there, and then find out later on that I was sorely mistaken. So that is definitely a thing to use in a fight, and to use as a starter, right, to get that extra temporary health and armor class bonus. Yeah. Iveen, I've returned with embalming fluid. You see Iveen. She is still dissecting the corpse's chest with her talons. The rhythm of the talons reminds you of something, but you can't quite recall what. Now, an important mechanic in this game is recovering memories. And remember, we're basically playing Jared from Pretender, so it's important that we pick things up via osmosis, we watch, we learn, we see if something triggers a memory. So we will watch her and study the motion of her hands. Have we seen that before? Do we know how to do that?
Updated my journal.
As you study the motion of Iveen's hands, you feel a prickling along your scalp, and then, suddenly, you find your vision swimming, blurring, until you are standing in front of a freshly slain corpse, rigor mortis making a mockery of its smile. The number 42 has been stitched onto its scalp. The zombie is lying on a slab, and you have just finished stitching up its chest. You have placed something inside, something that may prove useful if you come this way again. 42, of course, being the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. Except the answer is wrong because the question is wrong. Because the... what's its... oh, was it the Silurians crash landed onto the planet and messed up all the computations? Right, so... keep these things safe and wait for my return. The memory of your voice is an echo, strange and hollow to your ears. You cross your arms in front of your chest, and to your surprise, the corpse does too. After a moment, its hands fall back to its sides, and as it does, the vision fades, until you are watching Ivine's hands make their stitching motions once more. You have regained a memory. Memories can give you additional experience points, skills, and may even lead to you gaining something else of value later on. Such as whatever we put inside this zombie that we stitched up. Let's tap Ivine to get her attention. I mean, she didn't notice us while we were standing here gawping at her anyway. She turns, sees you, then frowns. Dumb zombies! She clacks her taloned fingers together impatiently, then makes a stitching motion with her fingers. Find thread and embalming fluid. Bring here to Ivine. Go, go, go! Well, we'll give her the thread and embalming fluid. We have returned of them after all.
Updated my journal.
And in modern games, this would be called completing a quest. Yeah, no, a quest is something much bigger than that. Without missing a beat, Ivine snaps the thread from your hands and hooks it around one of her talons, then begins sewing up the corpse's chest. She then takes the embalming fluid and begins to apply a layer to the corpse. Let's wait and watch her work in case we can get any more memories. Also, the fact that we see her apply the embalming fluid to the corpse is a hint to us that we can use the embalming fluid on Mort and ourselves. Within minutes, she's finished. She clacks her talons, then turns to face you. To your surprise, she extends her hand and drags her talons along your arms and chest. Yeah, look, she thinks I'm a zombie. I might as well indulge. I mean, she hasn't heard me yet, but if I do speak out, she might pick up on it. The fact that I'm moving as if I'm speaking. Looks like you have a new friend, Chief. You two need some time together, or... Shut it, Mort. I love the relationship with Mort. As companion characters go, it's one of the more dynamic relationships. As she traces your arms and chest, you suddenly notice she seems to be examining your scars. She withdraws her talons, clicks them twice, then bends forwards and examines one of the tattoos on your chest. Who write on you? Others do that? No respect for zombies. Zombies not paintings. She sniffs, then pokes one of your scars. This one, bad shape. Many scars. No preserves. Wait. Her talons suddenly hook into the thread you brought her, and lightning-like, she jabs another talon into the skin near one of your scars. Ow! It feels barely more than a pinprick. Whoever wrote this clearly does not have as sensitive skin as I do. But it looks like she's about to start stitching you up. Well, look, she says it's a bad scar, no preservatives. We could do with some preserving? Also, if we, push away and stuff, she might scream out and attack us or fight or, sound the alarm.
Updated my journal.
The sensation is curiously painless as Ivine begins to stitch up your scars. When she is done, she sniffs you, frowns, then stabs her fingers into the embalming fluid. Within minutes, she has dabbed your body with the fluid, and strangely enough, it makes you feel better. And we got a permanent hit point, something you would never have got back in 1st or 2nd edition under any circumstances. But we'll let her work. This may be the second time in my life I'm thankful I don't have a nose, says Mort. Ivine puts the last touches to your body, gives you another sniff, nods, then makes a shooing motion with her hands. Done! Go! Go! Well, we'll go. Don't want to arouse her suspicions after all, although she seems fairly oblivious and remarkably short-sighted. We probably shouldn't complain about that. But for now, we need to be looking to find a way out of this tower. I think these stairs and this grate will be a good Good grease, nameless one. You are a lot slower than Mort today. Can we open this? No! Wait. This door is locked. Okay, we'll have to go up. No other choice. And no, you must gather your party before venturing forth message. Hooray! We have shelves here on the stairs. Can you imagine trying to get a bookshelf on a flight of stairs, like a proper, like, diagonal flight of stairs, not like a really shallow incline like this? It'd be a nightmare to get it in place and get it standing up straight. They probably have to, like, put a recess in the wall or a little shelf or something.
All right.
Okay, nothing here. Nothing here. And here, ooh, charcoal charm. What could this be? A lot of resistance to fire. Less resistance to magical fire. Right, so this is important. This is 2nd edition, where magic resistance is a flat rate. In 1st edition, if you had magic resistance, you would add plus 5% to the magic resistance for every level of the caster below 10, and subtract 5 points from the magic resistance for every level of the caster above 10. But in 2nd edition they did away with that and just kept it a flat rate. So when you see some magic items with like a 15% magic resistance, you used to think, oh yeah, that's not very much. But if the guy casting the spell was 4th level, then you'd be 6 levels under 10, so that 15% would go up to a 45% and suddenly become a lot bigger. Right, this piece of charcoal is a scarred bone fragment of some creature, perhaps a finger bone or a talon. Various symbols have been scratched onto its surface. The scratchings are so faint you almost missed them. This charcoal charm temporarily protects the user against flames and extreme heat. To use the charm, the charred bone is snapped and both halves are ground to powder. Then the charcoal dust is rubbed over the heart of the user. This seems like something we should save, be ready to use if we look like we're about to run into a lot of fire damage. This is tricky because if anything is casting fire spells, it will have a limited amount of them, and after we see the first one, there might not be any more. So we'll be looking for creatures with fire-based attacks to be aware of. Alright, let's head into this vast chamber with... oh, that is very red indeed. And we can't even walk on it. But hey, here's a skeleton. This skeleton, number 748, according to the number chiselled above its brow, is odd only in that some of its teeth appear to be false ones made of reddish-brown stone. They're clearly not valuable, however, as its caretakers would have otherwise removed them. Examine the skeleton carefully. I don't want to talk to it because this chap over here might hear me. Not everyone is going to be as blind and deaf as Iveen. Someone has taken great care to bind the bones of this skeleton with leather straps woven around the body in such a pattern that they resemble muscles and tendons. The straps are secured to metal bolts punched into the skeleton's joints. This skeleton looks like it has seen a great deal of service. Many of its bones are chipped and its numerous fractures are bound with sealant and foul-smelling glues. It's nice to see that the bodies aren't all fresh and aren't all at the same level of decay, and that the dustmen do take care of their contracted workers and like to get the best out of them. Let's try a little of that creative vandalism here. Let's try and pry out the skeleton's joint bolts.
Whoa, Chief! That's vandalism! Those bolts are probably the only thing holding that bag of bones together. Necromancy only goes so far with these old fellas, you know.
Oh, sorry, I didn't want to cause any permanent damage.
Oh, it's not a problem!
Mort does a strange bobbing motion that you think might be a shrug.
Just wasn't sure if you knew that. Sorry, just wasn't sure if you knew that or not. Well, by all means, go ahead.
No, never mind. I'll leave it for now.
Wonder if his greybeard would mind if I borrowed his body.
Something tells me you'd be twice as annoying if you had arms. Let's just go.
Oh, you're a sack full of laughs, Mort glares at you. Besides, you're one to talk, Burke. Mirrors beg for mercy when you're around.
Oh yeah? Well, at least I've got all my parts.
Mort snorts. You're not quite sure how he managed it without lungs.
Let me tell you, Mort, there's nothing more satisfying than walking around, swinging your arms, breathing the crisp air through the lungs. It's great to have a body.
I'll have you know that helping you escape the preparation room has now been added to my growing list of regrets.
Mort sniffs again.
I should have let you rot. Some more, that is.
Well, glad you feel that way. Let's go. What's fun? Now, what have we here? The air roaring from the mouth of this immense furnace is incredibly hot. Walking even a few steps past the archway would certainly cause your hair and flesh to burst into flame. So this is probably where they incinerate the bodies, a fate we would be subject to if they were aware that we keep getting back up again. You there! Hold! The dustman regards you with a stony gaze. Are you lost? Yes, I truly am. I will summon the guard to direct you out. Hold a moment. I will snap his neck before he can hold out. Before he can call out for help. Now, this is the Dexterity 15 test. If I have a Dexterity of 14 or less, this will fail. Before the dustman can utter a word, your hands clamp onto his temples and you twist his head sharply to the left. Can't have you alerting your friends. There is a crack, and the dustman falls limp in your arms. Better you than me, Dusty. To your surprise, the act seemed instinctual, as if you had done it many times before. With this thought comes the stirring of a memory, but it's not strong enough to surface. I wonder if we would have needed more intelligence or wisdom to get a better memory out of this. Leave the body, continue on. But hey, let's take his copper commons, his jagged knife, and his robes. And we're going to head out here into the stairwell and don those robes. Now, this is not the best disguise in the world. However, as long as we keep our distance from the other dustmen and don't directly interact with them, and they don't look too close, we might be okay. These frayed robes are commonly worn by members of the Dustman faction. They have an old, musty smell about them, and they don't fit you very well. You doubt the Dustman disguise will hold up under scrutiny, and certainly not if the Dustmen are looking for an intruder. The Dustman robes are a cosmetic disguise. Even though you appear to be armed with a dagger, you will do damage according to the weapon you have equipped when you put up the disguise on. If you switch weapons while the disguise is on, the robe disguise will be nullified and you must re-equip it for it to work. If you end up alerting the mortuary to your presence, or turning the Dustman hostile, the disguise will not hide you from Dustmen who are looking for intruders. As a final note, the Dustman robes are useless outside the mortuary. Now, we're going to put that knife on and put the robes back on. Jagged knife, 1 to 3 slashing, so slashing as opposed to piercing. So we have piercing, bludgeoning and slashing damage. We've got all 3 bases covered. That's grand. Let's go. In our terrible Dustman disguise. Don't mind us, we're just wearing the uniform. Could be brand new on the job. Hey you, Skeleton, you're walking about, not standing still. I want to talk to you. You might be different. Because it's entirely possible that the zombie number 42 I'm looking for has now degenerated into a skeleton, if it's been here long enough. This skeleton seems particularly old. The leather straps binding it together cracked and worn. The word repent has been carefully engraved into its forehead with some amount of skill. A rougher hand later chiseled 996 onto both its temples. We'll examine the skeleton carefully. Sorry, I've just seen the option to ask if Mort thinks this one would be a good body. Someone has taken care to bind the bones of this skeleton with leather. Yeah, that's the same. Many of the bones... Yeah, it's the same description. Okay, we'll leave it alone. And while we could possibly walk on this red-hot bit... Right, I don't want to talk to the lady, because she might find out we're lost down here. But this zombie here isn't going to give me away. This corpse's slightly misshapen head appears to be held together by a number of narrow metal bands bolted directly onto the skull. A rusting iron plate over its left eye has the number 475 etched into it. Its mouth is bolted shut and it reeks of embalming fluid. Okay, fine, we're just not going to talk to it. This mummified corpse looks like it's bound for a crematorium, and we want to get out of her way. You know, don't want it to look too closely at us. And hey, here's this thing. A mouldy looking workbench with a needle and some thread. Nice. Now, what have we here? Some more bandages. I should really give these to Mort. That way, I have 2 sets of bandages, he has 3. So we can each heal the other or ourselves in combat should the need arise. This container is locked, well okay. A clot charm. I think I should have that as I have blood and Mort doesn't. Specials. Heals 9 hit points, plus 5% resistance to slashing attacks, plus 10% resistance to piercing attacks. This glistening blood drop is as hard and smooth as a pearl. When placed on the tongue, it dissolves instantly and spreads through the user's bloodstream. The charm stimulates the user's blood into clotting and scabbing over existing wounds, healing any minor damage the user may have suffered before consuming the charm. Furthermore, as long as the charm is in effect, the player's blood becomes more aware of new wounds that occur, especially any attacks that draw blood. The charmed individual becomes more resistant to slashing and piercing attacks as the blood clots and scabs over the wound as soon as the flesh is torn. Now, resistance is an all or nothing dice roll. It's not ignore 5% of the damage, it's a 5% chance to ignore the damage. If I have some slashing or piercing resistance already, this will add, which is unusual. So this is basically a healing potion, essentially. Nothing on these shelves. Mortuary task list and a lesser dustman embalming charm. Mortuary task list. Someone has penned a series of tasks in red ink on this scrap of parchment. I would like the contracted workers to be inspected thrice daily at the end of each shift when the new initiates come on duty. We have experienced too many contracted collapses while engaged in heavy labor as of late, and I fear the embalming enchantments initially used on the corpses may be decaying or may have been warped somehow. If the contracted workers could be inspected every 8 hours and raised if they have collapsed, then this would prevent the backlog of shells in the preparation rooms and free up more contracted workers for other duties. I do not wish collapsed bodies to be disposed of. When possible, the original contracted shells are to be raised and be made to resume their duties. I have included spare embalming charms within the shelves for the initiates on duty. They are to be used only when the shells cannot be repaired with stitching, bandaging, or applications of embalming fluid. Okay, this looks like some kind of bracelet. Invokes Embalming Miner. So a nice thing is this game actually added new spells that didn't exist before. Baldur's Gate 1 and Icewind Dale 1, I don't think they had much by way of new spells. They did actually have something innovative in terms of magic items dealing additional damage as opposed to a full damage type. So you'd have like a magical sword that would do sword damage plus 1 to 3 points of fire damage, let's say. Whereas in tabletop, if you had a magic sword, it was all fire damage, you know. They didn't have the adding different kinds of damage together thing until basically this game, and then it kind of came back in 3rd edition, actually. This strange metal bracelet has directions inscribed on the side of it. Judging from the crude text, it appears that the bracelet works by being held by a living creature. Then, while pronouncing a mantra to the true deaf, it is touched to the forehead of a zombie or skeleton. When this is done, the minor enchantment held within the item spreads through the corpse, strengthening their bones, killing traces of corpse rot and or grave mold, and helping to seal minor tears in the skin, so a healing item by the sound of it. This item will work on either you or Mort. Simply place it in your quick item slot, then use it from the quick menu on Mort, or have Mort use it on you, in order for it to take effect. When cast, the target gains +2 to 8 temporary hit points, and a temporary bonus of +1 armor class for 1 morale. It's an aid spell! The extra hit points will heal the target if he is less than maximum hit points, or they will give him bonus hit points for up to that. So this is interesting. So the temporary hit points are healing if you're below full health, as opposed to being necessarily temporary. This is probably because we have a built-in regeneration mechanism anyway, so it wouldn't make sense to take those points away then just put them back again, you know. And Mort, well, he's just Mort, you know, he's kind of a freaky thing anyway. Alright, you're not moving anywhere, skeleton. Let us see what you are up to. This skeleton has either seen a great deal of combat or has fallen down one too many staircases. Both its arms and legs have been broken and rebuilt with the aid of leather straps and thin iron rods. The front of its skull bears the number 863, but the back of the skull has caved in, forming an empty cavity. You notice that someone has taken advantage of this and tucked a rolled up piece of parchment inside the skull. Well, let's take it out then. It's like the golem of oh god, what city was it? Yeah, the golem from the Hebrew legend or the Jewish legend. Is it the golem of Prague? It might be Prague. With the scroll of parchment inside its mouth with the instructions on, well, inside its head in this case. So we'll take that out. You slip the parchment out of the worker's skull. Oddly enough, it looks as if the skull cavity is intended to store messages. A tiny string is attached to the parchment from a hook bolted inside the skull, as if to keep the parchment from accidentally falling out. Well, we'll unhook the string and take the parchment. You unhook the string and glance over the parchment. It looks like a reminder from one of the mortuary custodians. Judging from the note, the skeleton seems to be a walking messenger of sorts. As you take a second glance at the skeleton, you realise it has stopped in front of a slab because it can't figure out how to move past it. I'll examine it again in case there's something different. Nothing different, because sometimes descriptions change when you do things like take out a piece of paper. How about this skeleton, Mort? Will it do as a body? Mort studies the skeleton for a moment, then shakes his head. Nah, I need a fresher one than this, and something with a little more dignity. This one's all creaky and fractured. What, and you're not? Oh, you're a sack full of laughs. Oh, we're not going to go down this line again. I don't want to piss him off too much. Alright, there is a note here though. Mortuary reminder message. This rolled up piece of parchment appears to be some sort of message the skeleton in the mortuary was supposed to deliver. This is the third and last request for the pry bar. Sorry, that's American, it's a crowbar. If it has to be replaced, tell me, and I shall go to the hive market and purchase another. I have no objection to maintaining the contracted workers, but I've been trying to repair the skeletons and the bolts are wedged in so tight I can't get them out. Also, some of the locks on the storage cabinets on the third floor have become stuck again due to the heat, and I need the crowbar to snap them open as well. If the crowbar is indeed lost, I will set about procuring the services of a locksmith and having the cabinet locks replaced. Your aid in this matter would be appreciated. An unreadable signature has been scrawled beneath the message, which means someone's lost a crowbar round here and it just hasn't been delivered. And it's highly in demand. Oh, hey there, zombie. How are you? Oh, we'll have to watch that dustman. Don't look too closely, dustman. The number 1146 is carved into the forehead of this walking corpse. Its lips are sewn together with coarse, black thread. The entire body is covered in horrible scars, worse even than your own, as if its owner had been burned to death. Its nose, ears, and several digits are missing, presumably charred away in some long-ago conflagration. As you block its path to get its attention, it stops and gazes at you with vacant eyes. Okay, we'll just leave that one. There is a shelf over here. A lot of mummified bodies. I wonder why they are mummifying them up here. Aha! Some junk. This is not Dark Souls. This might actually be useful. This is a collection of junk. Small springs, broken bolts, and a cracked gear or two. It looks like someone felt these pieces might be useful one day, but they seem pretty useless to you. Okay. Take your word for it. Zombie. Have we spoken to you, zombie? There's a lady. I'd like her to walk away. There we go. 475. Directly onto the skull. We've talked to you before, zombie. Don't need to pester you anymore. Let's just carry on walking around as if we know what we're doing. We're dressed like a dustman. We might be able to get away with it. And I'm saying that in the loosest possible sense here. We might completely fluff it. Like, totally. Hey, more needle and thread. I should probably heal 6 hit points. You know what, I'm going to give these to Mort, because he can, like, bob around, be a floating skull, and stitch up wounds. Poking the needle through his teeth, then picking it up on the other side and dragging it through. Yeah, it's grotesque, I know, but it is what it is. Hey, more junk. Lovely. And a zombie. A moving zombie. Zombie, stop moving, I want to talk to you. Well, look at you. Despite this corpse's dry, leathery skin, it's clear this was once a beautiful woman of middle years. Whomever prepared the corpse seems to take pity on her, sewing her bow lips shut with small, neat stitches and tattooing the number 832 upon her forehead in elegant script. Well, she was nice, but she's kind of dead now, you know? But really, I shouldn't bulk at that, because I don't have a lot of options in that regard, really. Hey, zombie, could you, like, ignore your master for a moment? Hopefully he'll be too engrossed in his work. This reanimated corpse has had its lips sewn together and the numbers 310 carved into its brow. The smell of formaldehyde permeates the area around it. It turns its lifeless eyes upon you as you move to bar its path. Okay, no, I'm done, that's good. I'm supposed to be looking for zombie number 42, aren't I? Because of the memory from downstairs. I should really try to find that. Hello, zombie. You're not number 42 by any chance, are you? The numbers 613 are cut deeply into the plodding corpse's forehead, but an inch of shredded leathery skin separates the 1 and the 2. Looking closely, you can barely make out a 2 carved there. Okay, we'll just leave him be. Ignore this nice lady going about her normal everyday work. Yes, never mind the floating skull. That's totally normal here, lady. Just carry on doing whatever you're supposed to be doing. We'll take this mortuary sanctum key. This heavy key is a strange fusion of bone and an unidentifiable blood-red metal. Its jagged C-shaped head looks like it's ready to clamp down on whoever holds it. This key is used to open the inner gates in the mortuary. That will probably come in very useful. Hey, moving zombies. And a dustman whose suspicions we do not wish to arouse. So that's 1148 again, as opposed to THX 1138. So close, yet so far. That skeleton keeps moving. I don't like it moving. I wanna check it. Okay, what's in this room here? Well, 2 zombies and a skeleton, that's a good start. And since I would have probably come in from this side, I will start examining and work my way around. Yes, that's right, nameless one. Plod your way cautiously, slowly, towards the shells. You must move slowly like a dustman so as not to arouse suspicion, and there's nothing on the bloody shells. Is this jammed and locked as well? It's a bloody crowbar. Okay, so we are gonna, like, equip the crowbar instead of the arm. This will unequip the robes, which we will re-equip so as not to attract attention. Hey, Dustman request. Lovely. A note written on a scrap of dry parchment. Contact the necromancer responsible for raising contractual worker 42. So this is a second Zombie 42 reference, in case we didn't get the first one from the earlier memory, which we could have missed. I know he's examining the skeleton before, but I'm certain the initial raising of the body was warped. The worker still responds to commands, but when it has completed its task, it resumes pacing in the same circular patterns it did before. Oh man, that one just walked past us! Dahl recently informed me that Worker 42 exhibited that same walking pattern when it was a zombie decades ago. There may be a soul echo in the marrow, or the skeleton's age may have caused the magic animating him to decay. One of the initiates suggested it may be following an order issued by a higher-ranking dustman in the past, but I have found no records of such an order. Whatever the reason was for its behaviour, the matter is to be resolved or the worker replaced. So, not only were we a powerful necromancer in the past, but we were also working as a member of the Dustman faction. So they really shouldn't... So, you know, we wear the robes like we own them, you know. This container is locked. Well, hey, I have a... Is it control? It's control... Is it shift? There is a way to use a crowbar to open a container.
Forced it.
Yeah, it is open. I'm sure there's a... Is it Alt? Is it Control? Most enemies can be attacked by selecting from the game world. This menu is not needed for changing weapons or attacking neutral NPCs. Okay, so I would have to select it from a menu. That's good to know because it means breaking disguise. Okay, what's inside? 1 clock charm, 2 clock charm, and some copper commons. Quite a few copper commons, actually. Right. I would like to... Can I split these? No. I would like to give 1 to Mort and have 2 for myself. I should have dragged the 1 down and put it there and moved it. Oh well, never mind. Next time oh no, hello, zombies to talk to. Well, look at. The corpse's meaty head is clearly severed at some point and hastily sewn back on. Several different sets of stitching, all in various states of unravelling, seem to indicate that the head is constantly being knocked back off and reattached during the course of its work. The number 79 has been cut into its temples, circumscribed by a fanged circle that appears to have been branded into its forehead. Ah, the 79, yes! And there's a corpse who had an earring that was a similar pattern somewhere here in the mortuary. We should look for that corpse. Examine the fanged circle. The fanged circle looks like it was branded on the corpse's forehead long ago, presumably before it died. It might be a religious icon of some sort or a rite of passage. You notice that one of the recesses between the inner fangs has a small triangle within it, as if it has some special significance. Interesting. How did that mark get there, corpse?
Updated my journal.
The corpse makes no reply. It looks like it is far too gone to answer any of your questions. So be it. This looks to be the corpse of a well-aged, even ancient woman. Aside from the embalming fluid stink and the stitches sealing her mouth and the number 679 stitched onto her right cheek, it's likely she looks only slightly different now than she did in her final years. Alright, well, we'll leave her to her lack of work as she stands here waiting. This animated skeleton smells horrible, as if it had been only freshly stripped and prepared. Its jaw and major joints are tightly bound with leather straps, and a rough smock has been thrown over it. The number 1221 has been chiselled into its forehead. Ah, it's a palindrome. A palindrome is a number that reads the exact same both backwards and forwards. I have to ask, why the smock? I mean, it's not like you have anything to be modest about. The skeleton makes no reply. Well, it was great talking to you, Bones. Stay healthy. As if you can manage that. So, skeleton number 42 is doing the rounds, and it's nearby. Come here, talk to me. I command you. I do like the fact that they stand still and wait for you once you've designated them as a... Oh, yeah, just as I say that, he tries to walk away. The skeleton turns to face you. 42 has been chiselled into its forehead, and a number of its bones, mostly the jaws and joints, have been bound with leather straps. A black smock is draped over his body. I think this is the corpse I had that memory about. At the sound of your voice, the skeleton suddenly straightens up. It crosses its arms over its chest and its fingers hook into its ribcage. The skeleton's arms drop to its sides. Hello? The skeleton crosses its arms across its chest again. Would you cut that out? His arms are gonna snap off! I'll copy the motion and cross my arms over my chest. In response, the skeleton drops its arms to its sides. The leather cords securing the skeleton's torso snap, and the ribcage folds outwards like a pair of double doors. I will reach into the ribcage and feel around. To your surprise, your hand vanishes as you reach inside the ribcage. You have a strange feeling it's somewhere else. As you reach inside the ribcage, your hand bumps against an invisible object. It's about the size of a fist and seems to be attached to the skeleton's spine. Well, I'll endeavour to detach that. As you pull the item out, the skeleton suddenly disintegrates and the iron bolts securing its joints clatter to the floor. Whatever this item was, it seems to have been the only thing holding it together. It seems like an unremarkable lump of iron. You can't imagine why someone would hide it inside the ribcage of a skeleton, so I'll examine it a little more closely. As you place both your hands on the lump of iron to examine it, there is a sss, and the metal evaporates, leaving behind a strange dagger, a handful of coins wrapped in a dirty cloth, and 2 bloody teardrops. These look like they were inside the lump of iron. Also, a wooden club, apparently. Okay, a strange dagger, green steel knife. Oh, that's nice, that's good damage. This razor-sharp knife has been forged out of the famed Bartorian green steel, found only in the wastelands of Avernus. This peculiar green ore can be tempered into metal much lighter than normal steel. In addition, green steel weapons tend to retain their remarkably fine edges and are capable of dealing out more damage from their standard counterparts. This I will probably be equipping when I get the chance. Also, there are 2 clot charms, which I will give to Mort to equip. And let's have a look at experience. We're about halfway to the next level. We are. Mort, he isn't doing so well. But I think that is a good point to end the episode. I hope you've all enjoyed this one, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the next one. I'm going to say bye-bye for now, and cheerio!